It's indeed time for Person of Interest here on Morning Express, and joining me in studio at 7:21 a.m. is James Opiyo Wandayi, who's the Member of Parliament, Ugunja constituency. Mheshimiwa, asante sana for joining us this morning. I was just checking with you, first time in Parliament. How has it been? And talk to us about what informed you getting into politics, or why you in different politics before getting into Parliament?
Well, you see, Sophie, I got involved in politics at a fairly early age. And that was during my days to the university.
Right.
I went on to become National Secretary General of the then Students and Youth Congress of Fort Kenya, way back in the early 90s. Because thereafter, after my graduation from the university, I joined the private sector, where I worked for close to 14 years until early last year, when I resigned to vie for my parliamentary seat. Yeah.
What informed that? Had you always figured out in your time in the private sector, or from the time your days in student politics in the university, that you would vie for political office?
Yes, for sure. I had always nursed the ambition to be able to represent my people in Parliament. I thought that would give me an opportunity to serve them better. And that's exactly what I did. Yeah, when my stay in the private sector came to an end last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
What has the experience been like so far? Regrets?
Not much regrets, really, because...
but some regrets.
Having said that I was involved in politics from a fairly early stage in my life, I haven't come across anything that would really make me regret joining elective politics. And indeed, what we go through on a day-to-day basis is really what is expected of politics.
Okay. How do you compare, before we move on to what perhaps has been happening now with ODM and all, how do you compare student leadership back when you were a student leader and now? Because many would argue a lot has definitely changed. What are your thoughts?
Of course, as a student leader, you don't have much responsibility compared to the kind of responsibility you have when you are elected as a member of parliament. And more importantly, as a member of parliament, you have got a defined term.
No, but sorry, perhaps you missed my question. In terms of student leadership now, what we see now is more of calling for strikes. Yes, they'll talk about a little bit of important issues in campus, but it's not the kind of student leadership we saw years back that stood for certain things, that actually, you know, had this huge following and there was ideology behind their push. Now, we don't see much of that. Do you get that sense, or do you still think there's a lot of interest generated in as far as student politics?
Yeah, it's true. It's true, because unlike in the past, what you see currently in student leadership is basically that leadership that is involved in agitating for day-to-day issues. Survival issues.
Yes.
Really, as it were. And they don't find clear ideological expression in the agitation.
Right.
And that is really a worry. It's a cause for concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to the politics now in ODM. What's happening in the Orange Democratic Movement? There's been a lot of activity, and perhaps we'll go and break down each of what has been happening. But in your view, what is all this that everybody's witnessing now? What's at the bottom of it? What's at the heart?
There's really nothing out of the ordinary.
Really?
That's happening in
that person, an executive director, is violently ejected from a meeting, nothing out of the ordinary?
Well, that is...
another member comes and declares themselves executive director, that an election is botched, and months on, nothing has been said or heard about the investigations that were said to go into the same. All of that is ordinary in Kenya?
You see, Sophie, those are isolated incidents.
Okay.
Yeah. And you must realize that my party, the ODM, is the single largest political party
Yes,
in the country as we speak. And secondly, ODM is ideally the only party which has gone ahead and carried out elections from the grassroots way back in 2011.
Well, the national ones didn't work out.
Well,
it's in February.
Well, that's what I've just referred to as an isolated incident. And I'm sure you are aware that the party sees of the matter, and sooner or later the matter will be resolved. So there's nothing really to worry about, in my view. What you see as jostling for positions, for power, is basically an expression of the democracy within the party.
Is it democracy when, in the instance of Mungaro, he is thrown out because he's not towing party line? Is that democracy? Is it democracy when views that are not seen to match those of the party leadership, then they're termed and described and tagged as moles, and, you know, we see the likes of what happened to Margaret as well?
You know, I have said this before, and I can repeat it here. Yes. That, you know, in a multi-party democracy, the kind that we are nurturing in this country, one ordinarily joins a political party, a particular political party, as a matter of choice. And once you join a political party, you are expected, of course, to support the policies and the programs of that particular party. Indeed, if you happen to be elected on the ticket of that particular party, as I am, then you are under an obligation to propagate the agenda of that party. So any moment that one disagrees with the party position, which is healthy, of course, you could disagree internally and express your disagreement within the systems and structures of the party. But once you disagree fatally with the party position and go ahead to express it publicly, then you cross the line. Yeah, because, you know, political parties are key pillars in our democracy, or any other democracy for that matter. And the most logical thing one needs to do once they disagree fundamentally with the party position is to move to the next party.
And if not, they're ejected.
Well, even the process of ejection is provided for in the constitution of the party. Okay. Really, yeah.
So following the incident, let's revisit what happened at the Orange Democratic House with Margaret, the executive director, and this MCA is coming to eject him, saying that he'd said that the party is dead. In the full sight of the party leader, Raila Odinga, he was there. And Margaret has since said that, in fact, it is Raila who wants him out. Do you believe that?
I don't really dwell on that because I haven't heard him say that. That's one. Secondly, you know, Sophie, that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is a pillar of democracy in this country. And I think he would be the last person to stifle democracy in his party. And therefore, I would not want to speculate. As you are aware, there's a party machinery which is in the process.
Well, analysts argue, indulge me for a second on the same, analysts argue that if it did not have his blessing, it would not have happened at all, that the person, the stature of Raila Odinga, you would not pull such a move unless he's okayed it.
I wouldn't want to get into speculation, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you think Margaret is loyal to ODM?
Again, I do not know. Because there are various accusations which have been leveled against him by various people.
Like what?
Like the one we just talked about, really, of